I still cannot wrap my head around this whole thing. I mean, the sheer, ridiculous audacity of it. One minute you're a tired dad trying to wrangle 2 kids and 2 car seats through the pre-dawn airport rush, and the next minute you're being screamed at by a complete stranger, only to end up getting the best government perk on the planet and accidentally triggering a federal investigation that put an HOA thief in handcuffs. It sounds absolutely insane, I know, but every word is true. And it all started with my wife, Lena, finally hitting silver status on our regional carrier, Carolina Air, which meant, for the first time in our lives, we qualified for something called the Executive Priority Line at RDU Airport, Raleigh-Durham, in North Carolina. We were flying to Maui, Hawaii, for our 10th anniversary, a trip we'd saved for 3 years straight, budgeting every latte, skipping every unnecessary expense, just so we could show Mia and Leo the ocean for the first time. We felt like we'd finally made it. Not platinum, not diamond, but silver was ours, and it meant skipping that regular snake of a line that went all the way back to the Burger King. So, we're walking up to the rope. I'm holding Mia, who's 6. Lena is navigating Leo, who's 4, through the crowd like a professional ship captain, and we're maybe 20 feet from the ID check when this woman steps right in front of us, blocking the entrance rope like she's guarding the gates of Valhalla. She was something straight out of central casting for a movie about entitlement. Mid-60s, severe blonde bob, immaculate white pantsuit that probably cost more than my car insurance, and massive, I mean massive, mirrored sunglasses indoors. Her energy was just radiating judgment, and she had this little embroidered bag, a designer one, obviously, clutched tight to her chest. She looks us up and down, making a loud, theatrical sigh that definitely included my kids' light-up sneakers and the fact that our suitcases were the kind with the bright blue tags from Walmart. She actually clears her throat, loud enough for half the terminal to turn their heads, and says, "Excuse me, but this line is reserved for bona fide premium travelers, specifically platinum and corporate elite only. You too, and those accessories," she paused, looking at my daughter's pink backpack, "belong in the general screening area, where you clearly just came from." I honestly thought she was a comedian, playing a character, so I just chuckled, maybe a little too loud, and said, "No, ma'am, we're good. My wife has silver medallion. We're traveling internationally, and we definitely qualify for this priority lane. First time actually, we're pretty excited." Lena, bless her heart, tries to be nice. She pulls up the app on her phone, showing the silver logo, our names, the whole 9 yards. This woman, her name, we find out later, is Dolores Kinsley, but let's just call her D, snatches the phone right out of Lena's hand, holds it up to the fluorescent lights like she's checking for water damage, and then shoves it back almost hard enough to knock the phone out of Lena's grasp, her face twisting into this look of pure, concentrated disgust. "Silver." She spat the word out like it was literal poison. "Silver status is a regional perk, dear. You fly 3 times a year to Buffalo. That does not entitle you to use the executive priority line that people like my husband and I fund with 6-figure annual travel budgets. This is how you people sneak in, isn't it? Buying some regional carrier's cheap flight and trying to leech off the benefits we earned. You people?" I felt my blood pressure spike so fast I could hear it pounding in my ears. I stepped forward, putting a hand on Lena's shoulder, forcing myself to use that calm, dad voice I reserve for when Leo tries to climb the pantry shelves. "Ma'am, we are qualified. Our documents are right here. You need to step aside now." But Dee wasn't done. She wasn't just mad. She was performing. She spins around to the poor TSA agent at the podium, this young kid who looks like he'd rather be anywhere else, and starts waving her hands around like she's conducting an orchestra of hysteria. "Officer, officer, these people are trying to commit credential fraud. I recognize them. They're from the Sycamore Creek Estates area, but they don't live in the main section. They live near the highway access road, the rental units. They are trying to use a status they didn't earn. I am the treasurer of the HOA there, and I demand you remove these cheaters immediately. They are a blight on the community, and they are certainly a blight on this airport." And then, here's where the modern horror starts. She whips out her own phone. She's already recording, and she starts live streaming. I heard her say, "Hello, Sycamore Creek HOA. This is Dee Kinsley, reporting live from RDU Executive Priority. Look what I have to deal with. These are the kinds of people who try to cut the line, claiming fake status. I'm standing up for all of us who actually contribute to this community and this airline. People are filming her now. Mia starts whimpering behind my legs, clutching my jeans so tight, I can feel the tension in her tiny knuckles. Lena is just frozen, tears welling up because this wasn't just about an airport line anymore. This was personal, a total stranger humiliating us, attacking our status, our income, our dignity, all in front of our kids. I was 2 seconds from losing it. I mean, full on, yelling back, getting arrested level of rage. When the young TSA agent finally radios, quiet and serious, "Supervisor, I need immediate assistance at the executive priority checkpoint. Possible aggressive passenger interaction." I thought, okay, finally, they'll see our passes, they'll tell her to move, and we can just get on our way. Wrong. The supervisor, a tall, impeccably professional woman named Agent Davis, walks up, clipboard in hand, and her expression is total, stone-cold neutrality. She asks to see all documents. We hand over our phones and passports. Dee shoves hers forward like it's a subpoena, still narrating her fight for justice into her phone for her loyal HOA audience. Agent Davis looks at Dee's boarding pass, looks at the name, glances back at Dee's face, and her entire body language shifts. Not to rage, but to a silent, coiled intensity. She pulls out her official TSA device, swipes the pass, and her eyebrows shoot up so high they almost disappear into her hairline. She turns slightly away, mutters something into her radio about Flag 7 Delta and known repeat violator. And suddenly, 3 more TSA officers appear out of nowhere, forming a very polite, but very firm, semicircle around Dee. Dee, completely oblivious, is still talking to her phone. "See, everyone? I told them I wouldn't stand for this. They're finally doing the right thing. These types of families, Agent Davis cuts her off with a voice that didn't need to be loud to carry absolute authority. "Ma'am, Dee Kinsley, I need you to power off your device and stop recording immediately." Dee scoffs. "I have the right to film this. I'm exposing fraud. My HOA needs to see this." "You are currently violating federal security policy, ma'am," Agent Davis replied, her voice dropping lower, almost a warning. "And more importantly, you are the one who doesn't belong in this line. Your pre-check and priority status were provisionally revoked 6 months ago, pending review of multiple documented harassment complaints across 3 separate airport districts." The whole line went absolutely silent. You could hear the baggage carousel groaning in the distance. Dee's face, the one that had been so twisted with smug righteousness, drained of all color, turning a horrifying, patchy shade of white and red under the harsh terminal lights. She stammered, "That's a mistake. My husband is a platinum partner. They need my clearance for our next trip. This is an error. I'm the HOA treasurer. You can't." Agent Davis didn't even look at her again. She turned to me and Lena, softening her voice instantly, a complete 180. "Mr. and Mrs. Chun, on behalf of the Transportation Security Administration, I want to formally apologize for the extreme and unwarranted harassment your family has endured. We take the safety and comfort of our travelers very seriously, especially when faced with a known, disruptive passenger." She reached into her blazer pocket, pulled out a small, sealed envelope, and handed it to me. "To ensure this never happens to you again, and as a formal apology, these are 4 cards for complimentary, permanent, lifetime access to global entry and TSA pre-check. Welcome to the program. Go enjoy your trip to Maui." I swear, my jaw actually unhinged. Mia stopped crying and looked up, squinting at the shiny new cards that literally materialized out of thin air. She whispered, "Daddy, are we secret agents now?" I just stared at the cards, then back at Dee, who was being gently but firmly escorted away by the 3 other officers, still trying to argue, her HOA live stream phone now dark. The crowd that had gathered started clapping, a low, spontaneous cheer rising up. A woman in a business suit yelled, "Justice! Enjoy Hawaii." We got through security in under a minute, global entry, boom, done. But the story was far from over, because what happened next, after we found out why Dee Kinsley was so desperately trying to protect her perceived status, that's when the entire universe flipped upside down. We were walking toward our gate in Concourse A, still dazed, holding these magic government cards, when Lena's phone started blowing up. Turns out, Dee Kinsley's live stream had been clipped the second she started screaming about welfare families, and it was already viral. I mean viral. The caption read something like, HOA Karen gets instant karma. TSA gives family permanent global entry. We're talking 3 million views in the time it took us to walk 50 feet. Then, Lena gets a message from a pilot friend who works for Carolina Air. The message just said, head to the service desk at your gate. Station manager is waiting. He saw the clip. Don't worry, it's good news. So, we get to the gate, and this extremely sharp, impeccably dressed station manager, Mr. Herrera, is standing there, holding 2 large folders. He shakes our hands, looks us straight in the eye, and says, Mr. and Mrs. Chun, please accept my deepest apologies for the incident. Carolina Air does not tolerate passenger harassment, particularly when it targets our loyal Silver Medallion members. He hands us the folders. Your family has been upgraded from coach to first class. You have lie-flat pods for the entire duration of the flight to Maui. Consider it a thank you from our entire RDU team. First class. Lie-flat pods. 10 hours to Hawaii. I felt dizzy. We tried to thank him, but he just smiled and leaned in, lowering his voice. One more thing, Miss Kinsley. She just got denied boarding completely. Due to the high-profile nature of the incident and her prior flagged status, she is currently placed on a temporary no-fly list pending a federal review. She is in a holding room right now, and I believe she is demanding to speak to the CEO. She won't be flying today. We boarded first, naturally. It was surreal, walking past the coach seats, where we were supposed to be, and sinking into these massive leather pods that looked like private little bedrooms. Mia and Leo were screaming, silent screams, obviously, because first class, about the huge screens and the noise-canceling headphones. The flight attendant came over immediately with a glass of champagne for Lena and me, and little fruit juices for the kids, with a handwritten note from the captain, to the Chin family. Thank you for the dignity you showed this morning. Karma is served cold and in first class. Enjoy the flight. We settled in, feeling like royalty, Lena holding my hand, finally relaxing for the first time in what felt like a decade. It was the highest point of satisfaction I've ever experienced. Justice served with Dom Perignon at 35,000 feet. But then, the absolute, mind-blowing, nuclear moment happened about 2 hours into the flight. We just finished our delicious 4-course lunch service. The kids were asleep, tucked into their little blankets, and the lead flight attendant, a sweet woman named Tina, slides into the empty pod next to me, her face pale, holding an airline-issued satellite phone. Mr. Chun, she whispered, her voice a little shaky. I have an urgent call for you from the cockpit. It's the FBI. They say it's extremely important, and it's good news, but they need to speak to you immediately. The FBI. My stomach dropped to my knees. Lena's grip on my hand was bone-crushing. Did I say something wrong at the airport? Was I supposed to sign a form for global entry? Are we going to be questioned when we land in Honolulu? Tina patches the call through to our pod. A calm, professional voice introduces himself. Mr. Chun, this is Special Agent Ramirez, Department of Justice, out of the Charlotte field office. First, I need to assure you and your family you are in absolutely no trouble. In fact, you just inadvertently assisted us in closing a 2-year-long federal investigation into money laundering and wire fraud. He went on to explain that Dee Kinsley wasn't just a garden-variety airport bully. She was the treasurer of Sycamore Creek Estates, one of the most toxic, exclusive HOAs in the state. For years, she had been systematically skimming from the community's reserve funds, faking invoices for non-existent landscaping and security contracts, stealing what amounted to nearly $3.5 million. The FBI had been watching her. They knew she was doing it, but they couldn't get the final, ironclad piece of evidence, the smoking gun, that would hold up in court to justify a raid and an asset freeze. And then, Mr. Chun, Agent Ramirez continued, a little chuckle in his voice. She started that live stream. The one where she was screaming about you and your family. Did you notice her wearing those large, mirrored, aviator-style sunglasses? I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Yes, sir. Very obnoxious, wearing them indoors. Exactly, he said. And in the clear reflection of those mirrored lenses, for 15 uninterrupted seconds, her viewers, and our analysts, could clearly see the screen of her second, burner phone. On that screen was an open banking app, displaying a non-disclosed offshore account labeled HOA Emergency Contingency, containing a current balance of $3.5 million, along with the timestamp and a pending transfer notification. I just sat there, mouth agape, staring at my sleeping kids. Dee Kinsley's vanity, her need to be seen as the righteous HOA queen, and her ridiculous sunglasses had just broadcast the final piece of evidence the U.S. government needed. Agent Ramirez told me that by the time our flight to Maui had reached cruising altitude, federal agents were pulling up to Dee's McMansion with warrants. Her husband was already in custody, arrested at their front door in his silk robe, while the neighbors filmed the whole thing on their Ring doorbells, getting a much better live stream than Dee ever delivered. Then he dropped the true bombshell. Mr. Chun, under federal whistleblower statutes, Title 31, Section 3729, even an accidental, indirect whistleblower whose actions lead to the recovery of stolen federal funds, or in this case, a large-scale HOA fraud that impacts public trust and involves tax evasion, qualifies for a reward. Based on the $3.5 million we anticipate recovering, the U.S. Attorney's Office has already approved paperwork for a reward percentage. You'll be hearing from the claims office in about 4 weeks, but expect a figure between 15 and 30%. 15% of $3.5 million is over $500,000. Tax-free. Lena finally let out the silent, muffled scream she'd been holding in, burying her face in the first-class pillow, tears of pure shock and relief soaking the pristine white linen. We landed in Maui not just as global entry holders and first-class passengers, but as millionaires in waiting. When we got to the resort, there was a private sedan waiting, courtesy of Carolina Air and the TSA, along with a full itinerary of free VIP excursions. The reward check cleared exactly 5 weeks later. We paid off the mortgage. We set up college funds for Mia and Leo that will cover them through grad school. And next summer, we're going back, this time to the Big Island. And you bet your bottom dollar we'll be flying first class again. Last I heard, Dee Kinsley is out on strict bail, banned from her HOA, and the new board president is in the process of refunding every single homeowner who was scammed. The most beautiful part? Her reputation as the high and mighty protector of the community is ruined forever, all thanks to a 10-second reflection in a pair of silly sunglasses. Sometimes, the universe doesn't just send you karma. It sends you a golden ticket, a lie-flat bed, and a massive federal bounty, all because one petty tyrant couldn't stand seeing a happy family get ahead of her in line. So yeah, moral of the story, be kind, always carry your ID, and if you're a criminal, never wear mirrored sunglasses while live-streaming your crimes. Tell me what you think. Is justice ever truly served until it's served in first class? Have you ever seen a petty act of public bullying backfire this spectacularly? Drop your thoughts on Dee Kinsley's ultimate downfall, and whether Ben and Lena deserved that massive reward, in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories where the bad guys get exactly what they deserve.